Jonies. This is a great last full weekend of college football. Rivalry Weekend was the absolute best. So many great games on both Friday night, Saturday night, and we are just here ready to talk some college football, and probably only talk some college football this week. There's so many just big storylines, big things, big opportunities for a lot of teams to do a lot of good stuff, and so we don't have time to talk any NFL. We got to focus strictly on the college football this episode. Obviously, Ryan solo on this one. No Dylan anywhere to be found, but I appreciate Dylan joining me last week. It's a lot of fun to kind of get back into that with him, to do that with him. Very grateful for him being our first guest, but he was not our only guest. We got another one lined up next week. Got some more down the road, but right now, just there's too many big things to talk about with college football. So really excited to do that. Remember, we are on YouTube now. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're even on Audible. Who knew that we were on Audible? I just found that out. We just hit 400 total downloads on Apple and Spotify, so I'm very grateful for that. If you can help me get to 500 by the end of December, that would be awesome. That means 100 more just people listening, downloading any of these episodes between now and December. Would really appreciate it. Share this podcast. Follow us on the socials. Just keep kind of helping this grow, helping me grow. I do appreciate it. Very grateful for all of it. Again, this episode's called Football Only. Just too many big games, too many storylines, too much drama for the other sports to kind of get any attention. We'll update our NFL tier list next week. We'll talk some big games, but this week is solely focused only on college football content. So let's just get right into it. So, like I said, what a freaking awesome weekend. Come on, man. Like, seriously, we had great games all Friday night, Saturday night. Some things went down right to the wire, like the Iron Bowl. Auburn had every single opportunity to win that game at Auburn, at night, on the road for Alabama, and Auburn just so bad. I mean, they had so many opportunities, they just could not get it done. Driving on fourth down in the fourth quarter after Bama had scored, take the lead. Auburn had a chance to go tie it, or go for two and win the whole thing, and they were gifted another extra opportunity, and they just couldn't get anything going. The amount of turnovers that they had, the only reason they were even gave themselves a shot is like the big plays. They had so many big plays that just kept the momentum going for them, and they couldn't get stops when they needed to. They are just a bad football team that should have got that win, and honestly, Alabama was really lucky. And that's why I'm at the point of like Alabama, if they lose to Georgia, I don't know if they're in. A lot of people think that Bama is in regardless, and then the committee kind of set that up for them. I don't necessarily love that idea, but we're going to talk a lot of the committee picture and what they kind of painted for us so far, and then just my thoughts on it. I think that my thoughts are, pretty good on who I think should be in and not, but what the committee did in putting Bama as high as they did after struggling with a bad Auburn team. And again, like, I'm always about, good teams find a way to win games, but like, when a team is that bad, and Auburn gave Georgia fits, Auburn's given Bama fits. If Auburn could just finish games, their season would be so much better than what it is. Ole Miss handled business. Obviously, Lane Kiffin's last game with the Rebels, getting a victory in the Egg Bowl on Friday. Georgia handled business. A few weeks ago, I was really high on Texas Tech, on Georgia Tech, and I said last week that Georgia was going to get done. They really just handled them. Georgia Tech really had no opportunities. Last year's game was the one that went to like 6 overtimes. That was a lot of fun. This year, being a neutral site game just didn't feel as big, and especially with Georgia Tech kind of falling at the end. Texas upset A&M in a game that Texas controlled the entire time. Like, it wasn't close. Like, Texas really was the better team that entire night. Texas A&M really, when you think about it, didn't have to play anybody major. Didn't have to play Georgia. Didn't have to play Bama. Didn't have to play Ole Miss this season. Texas was their biggest game, and they lost it. Obviously, Notre Dame in the offseason, or at the non-conference, but Texas was the biggest game in the conference-wise for them, and they couldn't get it done. And again, Texas dominated it. And I'm not saying 3-loss Texas should be in, but if there's any team with 3 losses that deserves an opportunity, it might be Texas. Other big games, between Friday and Saturday, like Indiana just blew out Purdue on Friday night. Kind of close at halftime, or end of the first quarter. By halftime, start pull away. By the end of the game, like, they just took care of business. A 12-0 season for Indiana. Who would have thought that last year, even as good as they were, to come back this year and really be dominant, they secured themselves to take it to the Big Ten Championship. USC, Oregon, Iowa, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, Miami, Vandy, Virginia, they all took care of business. I was really surprised by Vandy. I thought Tennessee was going to win that one. I picked Tennessee last week. And so for Vandy to get it done, take care of what they need to do, 10-2 season. Pavia had a good year. I think that Pavia is going to win the Heisman. He might not necessarily deserve the Heisman, but I think they're going to give it to him. And we'll kind of talk about that more in a second. But then there's obviously one game that matters a little bit more around here, and that was the game. Ohio State absolutely BTA to the team up north. Just what a bunch of clowns. Michigan is just a bunch of jabronis. They defended their logo after a loss. Okay, congratulations. Guess what? Ohio State does not care. They did not care. They handled business on the field. They went celebrate with their fans in the stands, doing everything that they wanted to do, except what you thought they were going to do is plant the flag. They're not a bunch of cowards who, have to go ooh right there, and you stand there and defend it. Ryan Day went to Sharon Moore afterwards and kind of told him, like, hey, get off my field. Like, we own this field now. You had your 4 games in a row. Congratulations. 3 of them you cheated, or cheaters, or whatever we're gonna say for it. And then last year, you won last year. Great, congratulations. Ryan Day's back on top. The Buckeyes are back on top, and they dominated. It was not even close this game. They handled business on the field. They celebrated. Great job making sure there was no plans flag. You knew it was a coward move last year, and you didn't want to make it happen. It was never going to. Anyway, so let's talk about that game. Ohio State struggled on its first drive. Bad pick on the second play. It was great coverage. Probably the best Michigan play all day long, honestly. Fake the man coverage, ran cover 2, and saying bad throw, bad read right to the guy. After that, he played lights out. Bo Jackson was no doubt the MVP of the game. He was running, catching, his yards after catch. Like, everything he did got the offense going. In a time where it really felt like Ohio State was kind of stalled and wasn't going to be able to get anything going, Bo Jackson was that guy. And then finally a big balls move, like from Hartline, from Ryan Day, from saying a game. It just kind of felt stagnant, stale for a little bit. Other than Bo Jackson just pounding. Big balls move, going for it on the 4th down, throwing a deep ball to the best wide receiver in the country on the nastiest route you'll see all year. I mean, he just made that Michigan kid look stupid. He's still holding on to him as Jeremiah Smith gets past him, just inside and back out. It just won a great route, great catch, or great throw, makes the catch. And yes, it was a touchdown, okay? So he catches it. He tucks it. He runs for like 9 yards. He's making football moves. He has possession, okay? A fumble means that he lost possession. At no point did he lose possession after having it for 9 yards. And I have a question for you if you really think that it was a fumble out of bounds. If he caught it, did what he did, and got out of bounds at the 5-yard line instead of past the goal line, are you saying fumble out of bounds? Are you disputing the call? No, you're saying he was out of bounds at the 5-yard line. And so, yes, I understand that the ball started to come loose a little bit after he had possession of it, but it was not a fumble. There was no point in time where the ball was out. He was coming loose. He crossed the goal line. It was still in his arms and after he had possession. Had he caught it right there at the 2-yard line, turned and went in there like that, then you could say incomplete pass, that he never maintained possession of it to have the ball. But he had possession. He caught it. He ran. It started to come loose, and then as it was coming loose, he crossed the goal line. I thought that it was a call at first I didn't quite understand, and then they explained it, and it makes sense. Like, it wouldn't take it away. And even if you thought that Michigan got screwed on it, Ohio State got screwed twice, because Donaldson scored on the goal line on the second down play, and Barham, Michigan's best defensive player, headbutts a ref and doesn't get ejected. I mean, like, what is this? You can headbutt refs now, I guess, if you're Michigan. So Ohio State got screwed twice. I don't want to hear it. Beautiful throw, Carnell, to kind of ice the game later on. Joel Klatt, it's an 8-point game. Joel Klatt says Michigan's got them right where they want them. You get a stop right here. You go to score, it's tied, or you go for 2, it's tied. Right where Michigan wants them. And Julian Sand, Ryan Day, Brian Hartline said, okay, game, see ya. Threw it down. Carnell Tate in the end zone. And then, just really icing on the cake, 81-yard, 12-minute play, 20-play drive, just shoving the ball down your throat. I think of those 12, like those 20 plays, it was like 16 of them. Maybe it was like 18 plays, but 16 of them were run. It was absolutely great to see. Ohio State's back to owning this rivalry again. I just don't see a way that Michigan, unless they bring in a lot of talent. I know they're young, but guess what? So are the Buckeyes. Like, this same offense is back next year, other than Carnell Tate. It is, and obviously there was some Hartline news today that we'll talk about in a second. But the players are the same players there next year, other than Carnell Tate. Bo Jackson is just going to be meaner and tougher. If you can't stop him now, you can't stop him later on. Anyway, with that exciting weekend and what it was, let's kind of look at the playoff picture. Okay, I don't care about the playoff rankings, the final rankings before the final rankings. The rankings are screwed. The optics are going to be bad either way. Okay, here's who I think should be locks. I think who should win in their end and in the mercy of the others. So first off, teams that should be locked in, no matter what, for the CFP is Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Oregon, Oklahoma, Ole Miss. Okay, I think BYU should be in, whether they lose to Texas Tech or not. You can make the argument if BYU loses by 21 or more, should they be in? Maybe not. Okay, I can hear your argument. It would be their second conference loss. It would be a second loss, and it would be in a big game that everybody's watching. If you get blown out, should you not be in? Okay, I can listen to that. On the flip side, let's say Alabama beats beats Georgia by 21 plus. Georgia's second loss to the same team. Would they be in? I think they would put them in, right? So why are we going to do that for BYU and not for Georgia? And I think that Texas Tech is just as good as anybody. Like, I'm sold on Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a great team. Bama is a good team. Georgia's a great team too. If Georgia loses that by that much though to Bama, are they going to be in? And that same precedent is set for them, then BYU should absolutely be in as well. Then that would make 9 teams pretty much set. If BYU would win it or be close, that's 9 teams. Like, you're keeping Ole Miss and you're keeping Oklahoma in. They are locked in. Georgia, Indiana, Ohio State, those are your Big 10 teams. Texas Tech, BYU are your Big 12 teams, winner, conference loser. Okay? Then you have 2 conferences locked in for a spot. The Group of 5 winner, whether it's Tulane or North Texas, that winner is in. I truly believe they will be the 5th highest team, and I don't like Group of 5. Like, it's not Group of 5, it's top 5 conference champs. Your Big 10, your SEC, your Big 12. Group of 5 being, in this case, the AAC, okay, Tulane, North Texas winner. And then if Virginia wins, they're the 5th spot. They're ACC. They'll be number 4, and then Tulane, North Texas is your 5th. But regardless, Virginia wins, they're in for the ACC. If Duke wins, then it's the SBC champs. It has to be. Like, it's James Madison. Now, if James Madison loses, is it UNLV, Boise State winner? Are they ranked higher overall than Duke? Duke has 5 losses. They would have, they'd be 8-5 at that point if Duke wins. Boise State would be 9-3, 10-3. UNLV would be 11-2 if they won. How would they rank those 2 teams accordingly? I still think, though, if Duke wins, like, they're not in. And your 5th highest conference champ is your Mountain West, your Boise State, your UNLV. I think JMU wins anyway. They're like 23.5 point favorites over Troy. And so we're gonna pick all those games we'll talk about anyway in a second. But I think JMU wins it. They would be the 5th spot in. And so there's 11 spots right there. You have your locks: Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, A&M, Texas Tech, BYU, Oregon, Oklahoma, Ole Miss. If BYU doesn't, if they get blown out, whatever. Okay, but then you still have 2 spots. Your Tulane, Tulane or Texas, and then your Virginia or JMU. Like, those 2 teams are in, which either makes it 10 or 11 spots. You have 1 more. Well, you have Alabama. If Alabama wins, they're automatically in. There's no debate. This makes it easy for the committee. Georgia would still be in with 2 losses. I believe that 100%, unless they win, unless they lose by 3 touchdowns. Okay, Bama would be in automatically with a win because they're the SEC champ. If they don't, if they lose and they have 3 losses, why do they deserve to be in? You win the games that you should win. Like, you should beat Florida State. You beat Georgia once, beat them again. Like, if you lose 3 games, you should not be in. If you would have taken care of Oklahoma, you would be in no matter what. Oklahoma would be out. Oklahoma would have 3 losses. It's the same argument with Texas. Like, Texas is 9-3. They had bad loss to Florida. Yes, they lost Ohio State. It was a good loss. It's a good loss. If Ohio State would have lost to Texas, it would have been a good loss. You lost to Georgia. You got absolutely butt raced by Georgia. You can lose those 2 games. So people keep saying like, hey, if you leave Texas out, you're basically not incentivizing playing those games. That why would we play Ohio State and lose it? Well, for one, Ohio State needs it because I truly believe that if Ohio State didn't have that win versus Texas, Indiana's the number 1 team in the country. Now, yes, it would get settled later on, but not necessarily like, through the entire time does it matters. Like Ohio State was won because they beat Texas. Because if not, you could say that Indiana has the more impressive wins all year. Dominated the same teams Ohio State played. They beat Illinois by more. They beat Purdue by more. So Ohio State needed that win. That game mattered for them. And Texas, like, you can lose 2 games. We saw it last year with Ohio State. You can lose 2 games and be in. Oklahoma has 2 losses. They're in. Like, they're in. They're locked in no matter what. And so Texas, with 2 losses, they'd be in. If they lost to Ohio State and Georgia, they would be in. But the fact of the matter is you lost to Florida. And so the Ohio State game does matter, but you made it not matter when you lost to a bad team. Beat the teams that you should win, and you're not in this boat. If you can't beat Florida, you don't deserve to be in the playoff. Now, I think if there was an argument for Texas, you have the best 9-3 record. They are the only team with 3 losses I would consider, because I wouldn't consider Bama if you lose to Georgia twice and you lose to Florida State. I think Florida is a better loss than Florida State loss at this point. And then you're comparing the Georgia losses twice to the loss to Georgia and Ohio State. I think Texas' resume at that point is better if you're going 3 losses. But you still have 10-2 Vanderbilt. You still have 10-2 Notre Dame, whose 2 losses at the time were week 1 and 2 to Miami and Texas A&M. Who Texas A&M, we said that was their best win. They're still 11-1 team. They're a good football team. And since those 2 losses, they've dominated everybody since. Every win has been by double digits. Then you have Miami. They're 10-2. Yes, they beat Notre Dame head-to-head. Head-to-head should matter, but I think their 2 losses are bad losses. Notre Dame's currently better than them every single way. Like, that comes down to Notre Dame versus Miami. And you could be Miami. You could be mad if Notre Dame gets in. I 100% get it. You beat them on the field. Okay? It was a long, long time ago. I think if they played now, Notre Dame would win that game by 2 touchdowns. I really do. I think Notre Dame is that much better than Miami. But Miami being on the field when it matters, and that has to mean something. But at the same time, too, if Miami was 11-1, then it doesn't matter. They would be in over Notre Dame. But the fact of the matter is that they have the same record now. They're both 10-2. Your 2 losses mean something because they are worse losses than Notre Dame's 2 losses, which was to you and Texas A&M. Not Texas Tech, which I still think is a really good team. Not North Texas. Not Texas. Texas A&M and Miami. 2 good losses. Notre Dame should be considered. Like, those are the 5. That's what it comes down to. And you have 1 spot for those 5 teams. I think it should be Notre Dame if Bama loses. Like, obviously, again, Bama wins, they're in. But if Bama loses, I think it should be Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is one of the 12 best teams in the country. I think BYU will probably get screwed if they lose. I don't think it matters how much they lose by. If they lose, I think BYU is out. So my guess is what happens is Alabama's in, even with 3 losses. I think that's what they would do. And then Miami would be that final at-large bid. I think that Vandy would kind of get screwed out of it. Texas, even though they're the better 9-3 team than what Alabama would be 10-3, I think Texas would get left out, and I think Notre Dame would be left out, and I think Vandy would be left out. I think that if I was an expert, and I'm going to give you my picks in a second, James Madison's going to beat Troy 23.5. They're going to win that game. Doesn't matter whether they win. If Virginia loses, James Madison, we just said that. Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State. This one doesn't matter, but we'll pick it anyway. Kennesaw minus 2.5. Let's just go Kennesaw. Doesn't matter. North Texas, Tulane. North Texas actually 2.5 point favorites. I like North Texas a lot. I like that. I mean, I picked them earlier on in the year. They had that game against Navy with the crazy high spread or over under. I think that it doesn't really matter the winner's in. I think Tulane probably gets it done. I'm rooting for North Texas. I think that they are more fun offense, a lot more explosive offense than Tulane. Got some distractions with their coach taking the Florida job. I'm rooting for North Texas. I think that they'd be a fun matchup for whoever. They score a lot of points. So I think Tulane gets it done. But again, either way, that winner's in. UNLV, Boise State. Boise is minus 4 point favorites. It's crazy. It's at home for them. They're 8-4. UNLV's 10-2. This is a Friday night game, and then Saturday, BYU Texas. Texas Tech is 12.5 point favorites. I think Texas Tech wins this one. I think Texas Tech probably covers. I don't think it's a 21-point loss for BYU. I just think Texas Tech is that good. I picked BYU the last time, and that was stupid. I think Texas Tech wins that one. Georgia, Bama. Georgia's a 2.5-point favorite. I think Georgia wins it. It's really hard to be the same team twice in a season. Obviously, Oregon couldn't do it last year to Ohio State. Bama beat Georgia the first time in Georgia. This one's in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think Georgia gets it done. Duke, Virginia. Virginia's 3.5-point favorite. I mean, again, it doesn't really matter for the overall. It's either Duke wins and James Madison's in, or Virginia wins and Virginia's in. I want to say that Virginia wins, but I really think Duke might get it done. I really think Duke might get it done. It's kind of crazy that Duke can do this and get it done, but it's only 3.5 points. It's a neutral site, Big Ten or ACC championship game. It's gonna be real interesting what happens if Duke does. Like, how do they do it? Mensa's been good all year long. It's just hard to pick a 7-5 team to win a conference championship, but it's crazy that they're even in this opportunity. 5 teams tied at with 2 losses in the conference. Like, it's just insane. And then Virginia should be 10-3, or sorry, they are 10-2, but they should have 2 conference losses because they played North Carolina State, which wasn't a conference loss because there was a non-conference game, even though they're in the same conference. It's ridiculous. And then obviously Ohio State, Indiana. Ohio State is a 4-point favorite. I think Ohio State wins. I think that they win by 7. I think it's a good, fun game back and forth. It's going to be high scoring. I think this is going to be the most points anybody scores on Ohio State all year. I'm really interested to see, how Mendoza does against that, Caleb Downs, Igbenos in secondary. What does Matt Patricia have kind of in the chamber for all of them? But I don't know. I think Ohio State gets it done. They're going to be able to control the ball a little bit more. And tickets are freaking expensive, man. I'd like to go to this game, but they're just skyrocketed more and more and more and more. So with all that being said, I just gave you those picks. I think it's going to be Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Oregon, Oklahoma, Ole Miss. That's 9. North Texas, Virginia, and then, like I said, I think they're going to put 3-loss Bama in, and then I think they're going to put Miami in. I don't agree with it, but I think that's how it's going to end up being for the 12-team playoff. And I would be very surprised if there's not a lot of changes next year because they do not want 2 group of 5 teams in anymore. And I agree with it. Like, I don't think there should be 2 group. I don't think there should be auto whatever. I think it should be the 12 highest best teams, the 12 best teams. And that's what it should really be, is 12 best teams. And I think that, like, there are times where group of 5 teams are in the top 12. I thought Boise State last year was a top 12 team. They deserved a chance in the playoff, and they didn't win the game, but they played Penn State close. I mean, Penn State scored 2 good rushing touchdowns at the end to really seal it, but they struggled with Boise State in some capacities, and Boise State was a good team. They played their worst game of the season that game. Now, they play a better game, maybe they win it. UCF in 2017 was a top 12 team in the country. They didn't obviously get the opportunity then. Cincinnati, when Luke Fickell, the COVID year, 2020, Cincinnati was one of the best teams in the country that year. They deserve to be in the playoff. And with a 12-team playoff, sometimes those teams will be in the top 12. If they are a top 12 team, they should be in. When they're not, we should just hand them opportunities. If the ACC wants to cannibalize itself, again, win the games that you should win. Yes, Miami got a little screwed with tiebreakers. If Miami was in, it wouldn't matter. Miami would win that game. They would be a top 12 team. Like, they would earn it at that point. It's got to be a little bit of, like, top 12 best and top 12 most deserving. But these teams aren't deserving when they're not one of the top 12 best. Like, you have to be one of the best. And teams are going to get screwed. The Texas, the Notre Dame. Like, Notre Dame, they're the ones that, why are they incentivized by playing those tough games? They're not at this point. Like, 2 losses, yes, win the games that you should or join a conference, whatever. It's a balance of all of it. And I don't know. I'd like to see Notre Dame in. I think that they could be a lot of teams. So take a quick break from all this college football talk. 25 minutes in here right now. Take a quick break, and then we will kind of continue and finish with some hirings and some big stuff in regards to the calendar, because the calendar is broken. All right, my animal lovers. This is our one and only ad read. We are an official podcast with ads, and this podcast is wonderfully brought to you by my beautiful wife, her candles, Olive and Moon Candle Company. Okay, Olive and Moon Candle Co. Find her on Facebook at Olive and Moon Candle Co. Be ready to order. Guys, she is so close to getting these things ready. Okay, so if you're listening to this right now, within the next few days, website's going to be up. You get on there on Facebook, be one of the first to see the link. Okay, you'll find her, you'll see it, you'll click it, you'll order them. And if you are lucky enough, I might even deliver it for you. Okay, so you don't have to come do the pickup. You don't have to pay for shipping. Okay, if you're the right person, you know who you are, or the right few people, I'll take care of you. I will order it, or you will order it, and I will deliver it for you. Okay, those websites, that website's going to be up soon, so get on there, see it, be the first to click it. What a great gift for mom, for grandma, for the girlfriend in your life. Check her out on Facebook. Be ready. Follow along with the release, and when that order is ready, get it done in time for Christmas. Remember, $1 goes back to all animals in need for each candle sold. Money goes back to those humane societies, to those animals that need it. So if you hate animals, don't order from her. If you hate animals, don't order. If you love animals, well, it's an opportunity for you to, again, take care of mom, grandma, that girlfriend, get that gift, but also help a dog, a cat in need that needs it from you. All right, like I said, we're not going to do any NFL, so we're just going to continue with some college football talk. I think the big thing that I just kind of frustrated with some things today, obviously, early signing period started, some good recruits going to a lot of good places. Some people are being a little hesitant. Chris Henry Jr., I totally get it. First off, Brian Hartline taking the USF job. That is kind of a shocker, right? Like, we knew that Brian Hartline was going to leave eventually. Like, it was inevitable that he was going to leave. He deserves it. Should go somewhere. Get some experience. If you think that you're the next guy after Ryan Day, go get some experience somewhere else. Kind of thought it was going to be Penn State. A little surprised when it wasn't. And then maybe it was like, okay, he's going to stay here with Jeremiah Smith. Like, give it next year and then leave. Bombshell today, about 9 o'clock, USF job. Really happy for him. Congratulations. I don't think there's been any Buckeye fans on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, anything that's been anti-Heartline going. Like, really appreciate what he has done for Ohio State, whether it was a player, now as a coach. Really, 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 really good at his job. Obviously one of the best recruiters to ever grace the earth. And then gets them there and then develops them and has got JSN, Olave, Garrett Wilson, Egbuka, Marvin Harrison, Terry, he was around for a little bit. Obviously Jeremiah Smith and Carnell, like those guys are all first round picks, and that doesn't even include the guys that didn't go in the first round and guys that are on the roster still, the Jeremiah Smith, the Carnell. But what has he done for Mylan Graham and those guys like that are eventually going to get to that point also. One of the best developers and recruiters of all time. Really, really, really happy for him. And it sucks that he has to do this right now. And it's not his fault. I don't blame him. I don't blame Lane Kiffin for any of this. It's just the college football calendar. It's broken. It's been bad for a while, but something has to be fixed. Coaches are fired during the season, whatever. That happens. That happens in the NFL. That happens in all sports. Okay? But now, when you're prepping for a bowl game or even a playoff game, like Lane Kiffin can't coach a team that got to 11-win regular season. For the first time in school history, 11 wins, and that he can't coach it. Now, he says that he wanted to. Players or the ADs call him BS, all those things. But he shouldn't have been to that point of like, I either take this LSU job, which I would take LSU job too. It's one of the biggest brands in college football. It's one of the biggest brands in sports is LSU football. And besides Brian Kelly, the last three guys that did that job, Nick Saban, Les Miles, and Ed Orgeron, they won a national championship. And Lane Kiffin wants that opportunity because there's bigger opportunity at LSU. We just know that. But he got Ole Miss to 11-1 season and can't coach it because there's no time. It doesn't allow it to happen. Coaches are taking jobs with bowl games and possible college football berths on the line. Like the Tulane coach. Yes, he can stay at Tulane because the job from Tulane to Florida is obviously different than Ole Miss to LSU being the same conference, all those things. Taking players, taking coaches, all those. Tulane's grateful to be in this opportunity. He can coach through it. But he shouldn't have to, like, if they win, they're in the college football playoff, and he's worried about taking another job because he has to be. There's no other option for him. It's not like he can put it off because then it gets hired, it gets filled before that. He shouldn't have to. Hartline, same thing again. Congratulations, happy for him, all those things. But during conference championship week, during early signing period, he has to make that announcement before those kids sign the dotted line that think they're going to play for him next year. And I think Hartline and the Buckeyes did it right. He probably told most of them last night, and then it comes out today. And Chris Henry Jr., I understand being a little skeptical, have to wait time to make your decision. I get it. I'm not mad at any of them, and people that are mad at Ohio State's recruiting class, like, they'll figure it out. They'll transfer portal if they need to. Okay, I think Ohio State is less on overloading recruiting classes of kids that are going to be hesitant to come in. If you don't want to be a Buckeye, don't be a Buckeye. Eventually, you'll realize that you want to be a Buckeye if you didn't in the first place, and they'll get you there. Like, it will all work itself out. I'm not worried about not having 1, 2, 3 recruiting class. But either way, all this happening before your conference championship game is ridiculous. It's a joke. I get it. You want kids enrolled by January. But they're student athletes. So the school part is important. I get it. But we all know that college football doesn't treat them like student athletes. They're not treating them and honoring them as the athletes that they are. And they really don't care about them as students, because if you did, a lot of these things would be in place that had been in place for a long time, or took forever to get to what it is. You're just jumbling everything up and trying to make it to make sense, and it doesn't. Monday, the transfer portal is going to open. There's going to be a transfer portal open for 12 teams that are in a college football playoff, and kids are going to need and want to leave, and they need to leave because they got to be enrolled in school by January. And if they don't, then X player is going to go to the spot that they should have been at, that they could transfer to. The calendar has to be fixed. It can't be that hard to do. Like I before I put this together, I came up with like a little timeline, and then on YouTube, my goal is to maybe put it like right here or whatever. I'm going to work on it, try to, whatever. Okay, but your conference championship weekend, like with conference championship weekend, it takes 15 weeks to play 13 games. If you start at the end of August, now I think that we can move the season up by 1 week. You can get rid of week 0, start the season week early, and play conference championships the game after Thanksgiving. So like Ohio State, Michigan would be before Thanksgiving, and then you have Thanksgiving break, and then you have that next weekend, and you would have conference championship games. But let's just say you don't want to do that. Okay, keep it how it is. I know Army-Navy wants its own day. I love Army-Navy. It's my second favorite rivalry in all of sports. Okay, or in college football at least. It doesn't need its own full day if we need to get things condensed down. It can have its own time. Give it noon of the conference championship weekend. Big 12, like the Pac-12 used to do their conference championship on Friday night. It was fun. You got a good game on Friday night, and then you got Big 12 at noon on Saturday. You had your SEC at 4, then you had ACC Big 10 at 8 o'clock. Okay? Move the Big 12 to Friday night. Give them Friday night conference championship game. Army-Navy gets noon on the day of conference championships, all by themselves, the only game on. Time slot was by themselves. And then you can have your SEC at 4 o'clock, and you can have your Big 10 and ACC at 8 o'clock still. But you don't have to have that separate weekend later on for just Army-Navy. So that because that one's played, okay, the next weekend, you start your college football playoff round 1 games. Like, you have 1 week. It's conference championships. You find out on Sunday, and you get prepared for another football game like you do in high school football. Or with these other playoff games, like when you lose or when you win, you know who you play next. Like, you get ready for them, and you just figure it out, and you do it, okay? And so you find out who you play, you get ready for it, you win it. You get some B-tier playoff games, too. You get maybe your Bahamas Bowl. You get all those in. The next week is your quarterfinal games. More B-tier games. And, yes, you big-time bowl games. You might have to play before Christmas. But it's okay. It helps the flow of of everything better. It makes this calendar better. Your semifinal games can be on New Year's still, and that rotates. It's the Rose Bowl. It's the Sugar Bowl. Sometimes it's the Fiesta Bowl. It's the Cotton Bowl. It's the Peach Bowl. It's the Orange Bowl. Like, those would rotate. So every few years, your Rose Bowl and your Sugar Bowl would be on New Year's Day. And then, after that is done, then you can open the portal. It's open for 1 week. Like, you don't need 15,000 days to do it. You get 1 week to jump in the portal. For coaches, like, that's your time. You get hired in. You make your decision on that Monday. Okay, whether you win or lose, you make that decision. Okay. And then if you do leave, like, your national championship is the week after that, or 10 days after that, whenever New Year's Day falls sometimes. You can stay with that job for 10 days and coach a national championship team. If you make it that far and you want to take another job, you should be able to coach another national championship team. And guess what? Your early signing day is still early if you do it on January 2nd or January 3rd. If January 3rd is official early signing day and transfer portal open, then you can have time to, hey, my team lost in the college football playoff. I'm going to take this job. I got to coach my team. I got to be part of it. And we can have that all done by January. And the transfer portal closes when the national championship team game is over. And if you're the 2 teams that get in, then maybe you get an extended 5 days. Who knows? Like, you get 5 days of talking to kids and doing all those things. Like, you get a little bit of extended time. That's kind of reward you get for winning a national championship. And all this can be done by January 7th, January 8th. And you can push all those things back and get kids enrolled, and they can have an idea. Like, they can have an idea of what they want to do. And they'll get all the school stuff figured out, but don't act like you care about kids in school when this is the way that this is going. And so I just think that this allows coaches to do what they need to do through the bowl games, to be part of it with their teams, to think about, jobs that they want, but be able to commit to their teams. Players commit to their teams. This helps the kids. This helps the teams. This helps the coaches. Season ends earlier. It's fine. We could start it earlier too. I told you, get rid of week 0, move all that up 1 week. Like, it would be real. It would easily work out. You just have to change tradition a little bit. Yeah, the Rose Bowl, you might have to play before Christmas. It would be fine. People would figure it out. It would be fun. It means I wouldn't have to wait 3 weeks between a Big Ten championship game, or if Ohio State never made it, or like if you're a Michigan fan or Oregon fan, you don't make it in the Big Ten championship game. You don't have to wait from week 12 of Thanksgiving week through the 3rd week of December. Like, that's a long time off. Teams used to play and freaking end of November and then play in the Rose Bowl. Like, that's not real football. 5 weeks off in between games. Like, that's an exhibition that doesn't matter at that point. It makes it matter a little bit more. Last thing, we're going to talk about some of these hirings so far. There's been a lot of big ones. Jobs that still aren't filled: James Madison, Coastal Carolina, Tulane, Memphis, UConn, Cal, Penn State. The fact that Penn State's not is kind of insane. Oregon State, UAB. Obviously, filled jobs. South Florida, A+, Brian Hartline. Just love it. I mean, it's a great hire. Great hire. I'm going to be a South Florida fan for a good amount of time. North Texas hired Neil Brown. Kentucky, Will Stein. Michigan State, Pat Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald's back in college football. Really interested to see how that works for Michigan State. If he can recruit and he can get some toughness there, they might be back. Bob Chesney, UCLA. Ole Miss, like Pete Golding. I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to lose in the first round of the playoff no matter what. Without Lane Kiffin now, it's going to be really hard for them to kind of play inspired football. But we'll see how Pete Golding does in the future. Obviously, Lane Kiffin to LSU. I like the hire. I think Lane Kiffin's a good football coach. I think they're going to win a lot of games. Maybe not right away, but offense going to get going again. He's going to have a good defense. John Summerall to Florida from Tulane. Again, he can focus on both jobs, but he shouldn't have to. Auburn got Alex Golish. Ryan Silverfield to Arkansas. Jim Mora, Colorado State, left UConn. Eric Morris, he's doing North Texas and Oklahoma State job. He's doing the same thing as John Summerall. It's because it's that group of 5 to the big boys. You can kind of do it. Virginia Tech, James Franklin, obviously, and that's it for like the major ones. But a lot of coaching changes. There's some changing of the guard in college football. So it's going to be exciting next season. Obviously, we have a lot to finish this season. We just spent, literally 40 minutes almost just talking college football. It's been a crazy week. Really excited for these conference championship games this week. I just really hope that college football kind of gets out of its own way and fixes some things, because I love the sport, and I just hate to see so much turmoil, so much negativity on National Signing Day for these kids. Like, they deserve better than that. It's not their fault. It's not the coach's fault. It's the NCAA's fault. It's the backbone of college football not having somebody that can make these decisions. Guess what? I just came up with a schedule in 15 minutes that works. That works better than what we have right now. But people just have to admit that what they have right now is broken. It's easy fixes. Somebody's just got to do it. They have to be in charge. They have to have the backbone, decide to do it. Anyway. Great games this weekend. Looking forward to it. Obviously, next week we will talk college football playoff once we have the full playoff picture, once we know who is in, who is not in. Ohio State getting ready to go back-to-back. I cannot wait to get the back-to-back hoodie. Obviously, we have a big guest next week also, so we'll kind of get his thoughts on, the playoff picture. Really looking forward to it. Thank you for listening this far. If you have, be sure to subscribe to all the socials, all those things. Help me get to 500 by the end of December. That'd be really awesome. Really appreciate it. And as always, we have Jamal Williams send us out.
Because if you go piss like a puppy, stay on the porch and let the big dogs eat.